Welcome back to the ESPN Hoops and Hits podcast presented by Tab. I am Justin Horo, otherwise known as The Scope, joined by my co-host Josh Reynolds, otherwise known as The Grub, mate. We are into week 2 of this show, but it is week 1 of the NFL. It is done and dusted, mate.
Oh, how good was it? How good was it? Couple of reasons why. We obviously had a little bit of a bet last week, and do you want to let everyone know who you do actually support, just in case they forgot?
Well, we had the NFL launch party down at Bondi, and what a great day that was. Going and watching the Packers versus the Eagles. Your Eagles against my Packers. Unfortunately, we had the bet last week, mate, so here we go. This is the Devontae Smith.
Yep.
And he had a pretty good game as well, mate. A bet's a bet. Disappointing ending for Jordan Love for me. I had him on all 3 of my fantasy teams, so not only as a Green Bay Packers fan, my fantasy teams are ruined, and I'm already chasing the season in week 1, mate.
Who replaces him, mate? He's out for MCL about 2 to 4, they said.
Yep, best case scenario 2. Malik Willis come in and played the last snap, and we got him over from Tennessee Titans a couple of weeks ago, so he's the obvious choice.
Yeah, so he hasn't played much, has he?
Not in the last couple of years, no. He was beaten out by Will Levis last year at Tennessee.
Okay.
But he is our number 2, and then we've also got Sean Clifford, I believe, the emergency quarterback that we had for the game.
So he's got Colts and Titans next couple.
Yep.
If you're only missing them, so you should win one.
Colts looked all right.
Colts
looked pretty good. Titans is a winnable game.
Yep.
I also want to give a massive thanks and shout out to our partners here at the Tab. They put on the event. NFL, AUNZ, the Bondi Pavilion. What a great location for an event.
Mate, how good was it? Honestly, you know what I love to see? There was like a couple of my mates were there. I seen a couple of my mates, and like their little daughters had like all Philly gear on, and it's building in Australia.
It is.
Like the younger generation are starting to love it, and you know, instead of having Parramatta jerseys on or Bulldog jerseys, there's actually people with NFL jerseys on, little kids. So it's growing and growing in Australia.
Well, that's what I think they do better than us in the US. The names on the jerseys, everyone's wearing memorabilia all the time. We get a little bit of it over here in Australia, but I love what they do in the US. It builds around the atmosphere of the game. You ready to get into the show, mate?
Let's go.
All right, let's get into Left on Red. Kicking it off with the first look at this week, which made it in the Hoops and Hits group chat. This one's from YouTube too, from Stells 2011. Philly win. Grub, our safeties will be okay. You mentioned it in the last show. Blankenship was good last year, and we got CJ Gardner-Johnson back as well. So were you happy with the way that the safeties performed for your Eagles against the Packers? They had some big moments, but I thought across the board they were pretty good.
Yeah, it was, Hoz. I think there was only one big play, that 70-yard. It was more of a missed tackle. That was CJ Gardner himself. And just on that, I feel in open space, the one-on-one tackle, they're poor, aren't they? A lot of them, like a lot of this in general. I don't mean our ones.
Yeah.
I just feel that one-on-one misses a lot.
I don't think you're giving my man Jaden Reed enough credit. I talked him up. I talked him up on the last episode, mate.
You did. That was a great play.
And those broken plays, they're the hardest to defend because that's outside of the structure. So once they get outside of the structure, get outside of the zone coverage sort of thing, it's a big tackle. There's a lot of space. Jaden Reed's he's an ascending player in the NFL, but imagine trying to tackle Tyreek Hill in an open field like that.
You know what? I'm probably being a bit harsh, but let's get a little bit better. But mate, you mentioned it last week, just on the Packers, they have got threats everywhere, haven't they? Like young threats too. Like they just look like a really confident group that knows their role.
Yeah,
there's no like massive superstar anywhere. It's like they've got people everywhere knowing exactly what to do, knowing their roles, and obviously Love's out for a bit, but they'll definitely be there.
Young options at wide receiver. That's going to stunt their growth for a couple of weeks, but we'll be okay. The biggest story from the game, Saquon over from New York to your Philly Eagles. He scores 3. He only had 1 last year, mate.
That's
one touchdown last year. One last
and he's got 3, mate. Like
he's got 3.
He just added a whole nother dimension to our attack. Like, Hurts wasn't even great, to be honest. He threw 2 pretty bad picks. There's a couple of those throws that weren't great, but when we can pound it like that now and just use Saquon, our wide receiving threats are there. Yep. But we just, last year we weren't great towards the back end. There was all that stuff going on with Hurts and the coach and whatnot. But having Saquon there, even if our wide receivers and Hurts aren't on the same page, we can still use him. And, mate, it was just exciting to see. And, yeah, I think it's going to be a good year for us. I really do. Like, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But, yeah, very happy with the first week for us.
Yeah, Swift didn't really work out for years. And then with Saquon, he didn't really have any weapons on the outside to, they were just loading the box against New York. So it's a perfect match for both, I think. This is one's from Instagram. This is from Benji B. I wonder if it was Benji M. Benji Marshall was. This is from Instagram. Hanging in the Louvre. And this is Tyreek Hill. I want to get your reaction to this, mate. The celebration of Tyreek Hill. I wish we had more celebrations in the NRL. And he's doing the arrested celebration. I don't know who's that. That must be Waddle coming in behind him, but Cheetah breaks the change. And then early in the year, only this happens in the US, mate. Scotty Scheffler, he gets arrested before a golf tournament. He shoots 5 under. Tyreek Hill, 130 yards and a touchdown. Which performance was better for you, Tyreek Hill on the weekend or Scotty Scheffler earlier in the year?
Well, I'm going to say Tyreek Hill. Reason being, I seen what happened, and I seen what happened for the game. We won't go into that, but he would have been rattled from that. Or I would have been rattled, and to still go on and put on a performance like that, like nothing's happened.
It was pretty full on, wasn't it,
mate? It was full on. But at the same time, I agree with you. My middle name, mate, I carried on constantly I was Josh Carry on Reynolds. So I would have loved a bit of that.
Bit of logo. You love the logo stuff. That's your go.
I did 3 different logos throughout my career. But how about that's the thing with Scheffler. I do respect the golf one though.
Yeah.
Because golf, you got to be
all mental.
It's mental.
Yep.
So imagine what he's thinking. He probably doesn't exactly understand what was going to happen after it. Like after it sort of happened, he drove in his buggy back to tee off on the first, but mate, for him to come and shoot that 5 under, this is why they're on that next level, and I love it. Have a bit of a muck around, and it's all in good fun.
Mate, yeah, they're the best of the best. Whether it be at golf, Scotty Scheffler was number 1 in the world at the time, and you could argue Tyreek Hill, he is the number 1 wide receiver in the game at the moment. So they're pretty good at their craft. We got this one from producer Shabs. The next one, Drake. We've got a little meme up here. We love the MJ meme as well. It has been announced. Kendrick Lamar, he will be the Super Bowl halftime show. That's going to be huge.
That's massive. And it is fair to say, Hoz, that he will be rubbing it in to Drake at every possible opportunity he has.
Okay, that's my next question. Are you in the Drake camp or are you in the Kendrick camp?
Well, I'm in the Kendrick camp. Sometimes I don't like Drake when he carries on at the NBA. He's there. He's in everyone's face.
That Toronto series when they won it, he was carrying on the treat, wasn't he?
I wanted them to lose because of that. He's just there, and I'm just like, mate, what are you doing? You're not a part of it. But for Kendrick, it's huge, and this is where we speak about American sports. They just get it. They do it better, and I actually wish the NRL get. We've got
Kid Leroy. This is the best I reckon we've ever had.
The best we've had.
Yep.
But hey, look,
huge star.
Huge. But look, we want a game here in Australia, right? So why don't we just say, look, Kelsey, why don't you come play over here? Bring Taylor.
Yeah.
Perform.
Little package deal.
A bit of a package deal.
Do you reckon PVL's got the cash for that?
Probably not. Might have to borrow some off you, mate.
With all these gigs we get, we've got ESPN involved, we've got the tab involved, so maybe we can pull it off, mate. Maybe we speak to PVL. I'm on the Drake camp. I'm a Drake guy.
Oh, you like Drake? Yeah.
I think Kendrick has beaten him in this little rap battle that they've had. I think it is going to be a great halftime performance. You've seen the concert that he had it was a couple of months ago now, where he was just ripping into Drake the entire time, singing the song on repeat. Imagine if he just did that for the entire halftime, just repeating the diss song for him. I think that would be hilarious. But I am a big Drake fan.
But Drake says he made Kendrick because he put him in one of his early albums or something like that. So that's his comeback. He's like, man, you would have been nothing without me. But yeah, I love it.
All right, this one is from Dan Hajducky. He's an ESPN journo too, by the way. Wilt Chamberlain card has sold for a record. Check this one out. Maybe this can pay for Taylor Grub. $1.7 million with at Gold & Co. after sitting in a closet. So I'm going to get the details a little bit further on down here on this.
Million.
So this Chamberlain card sat in a grocery store closet in Crosby, Minnesota for more than 60 years, according to the press release, where a family member of the store's owner found it. Some other notable memorabilia sales that had gone off are Muhammad Ali's championship belt, Michael Jordan's flu game sneakers. I will say, at home, I don't have anything to that level, but I do have a Patrick Mahomes rookie Prism card, ungraded. So I think they're currently about $1,500 AUD at the moment. I need him. If he goes on and wins a third Super Bowl, the value of that goes up. But
what are we talking? I don't really get the cars.
So the grading of it, if I get a grade in and get it graded and it comes back a 10, which is the pristine, the 10 out of 10 basically, it ends up shooting up dramatically. I think above $10,000 the card's worth if it is graded a 10.
That's mad.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous to get it graded too because if it comes back with a poor grading. The value of the card obviously drops dramatically.
What do you reckon a vintage Justin Horo,
Josh Reynolds combo card
in a Manly and in a Dogs here? We'd probably get what $6.50
with an ESPN Hoops and Hits logo. I think we chuck that in there.
No, I don't know about the 1.7.
I think 650's overs. But yeah, let's get on to the last one, and this is huge, mate, for women's tennis. This one comes from Livy Paris 2024. LMAO, Arena Sabalenka saying she is a little bit uncomfortable that her forehand is faster than the man. Queen behavior only. So check this out, mate. Sabalenka, her forehand top spin speed is 80 miles per hour. Alcaraz is 79 miles per hour. Yannick Sinner is 78. And the GOAT, Novak Djokovic, he is 76 miles per hour. So that is a crazy stat when you think about, how far women's sports have come. She's the best. She's the best in tennis right now with the top spin forehand.
And that's the big thing about that is it's not one forehand. It's average.
Consistency.
So she's consistent.
Yep.
Like that, the muscular endurance for that, like you said, we always say males are big and strong, but mate, for her to be able to do that and beat the best in the world, it's actually unbelievable.
No wonder she's dominating at the moment.
Dominating. How do you beat that? If she's she'd be using that, like she'd be hitting a lot of her winners off the back of that.
You like to think so.
So she might dominate for a long time with speeds like that. But even like Serena Williams in her prime, I'd like to see that comparison because she hit it. She hit it.
She hit a pretty good ball.
Hit a pretty good ball. So, mate, that's unbelievable. Good on her.
All right, mate, let's move on to the stalemate. And this is brought to you by producer Shabs at the back there. We talked about it. You mentioned it a little bit. There was a little teaser, Grub. You're getting everyone ready for it. Overseas NFL matches, yes or no? Now, we have our Instagram fans. They have jumped on board. They are heavy on board with this on Instagram. 95% yes, 5% no. And then we went to X, and they've come up with 77% and 22% no. So, obviously, the fans maybe here in Australia are a little bit biased.
Yeah.
Probably looking for a game down in Australia. And A. Doyle echoes that. Get them to the land down under. Imagine a core stadium or Suncorp having a proper NFL game.
Unbelievable. And that's what we want. I've actually watched a Hawaii. They've played at a core. I've seen them play, couldn't see how many years ago, but they played Cali at a core.
Did they pack it out?
Unbelievable. Packed.
Yeah.
It was full on, mate.
What was the capacity? It's 80,000 capacity?
80,000, at a core. And, mate, it was unbelievable. And that's what we want here as a country. But I will say one thing, Hoz. On the weekend, I feel the ground itself wasn't up to standard.
Okay, well, I'll throw this at you. This one's from Luke Charles from Instagram.
Yep.
No, never, no good reason to do so. And I think there is one reason not to do so. And if they do it, in a place like they did in Brazil, you've got to get the field right, mate. They were slipping. All the players were slipping for both teams.
Yep.
That's not even biased because I lost our quarterback at the end of the game. The field conditions were awful over there in Brazil, which should have been a really great moment for Brazil hosting a game.
Absolutely. And look, that's the thing. It's hard to get it right because Brazil don't know. Their curators and stuff don't know what they need. But at the same time, NFL as a business, they got to go over there and check it and make sure that it's up to standard because you could see Love. Like I was watching Love more. He was trying to pivot off his back foot and he sort of slipped.
Looked like he was cramping, wasn't he?
He did look like
Yeah.
he was cramping, and that's probably what happened. You know, like he's probably getting a bit tighter, not feeling himself. Then he does his MCL, and the thing is, if we're going to take games to these places, let's just say if he's out worst case for 4 weeks, that's
Yep.
a big chunk of their season. And you
Quarter
can't-
of the season, yeah.
and the coaches won't want that. So if they get that right, I fully think it's awesome. It's great for the game to grow. I mean, you wouldn't say NFL is anywhere near soccer on the world stage.
Or even basketball is the more
Basketball.
comparative thing
Absolutely.
over there.
So
NBA versus NFL. The
Yep.
NBA is worldwide, global. Football is obviously global. NFL football, on the other hand, predominantly US, but
Yep.
growing. Super Bowl's huge. This one's from Will Evans on Instagram as well. Best way to grow the game globally, lock it in. I like the idea of it, but they just got to do it right. They got to make sure the field's right.
Yep.
They got to make sure the location, travel, all that stuff's accounted for, and when they're traveling back to the States, because like you said, 4 games, that's a quarter of the season. They play there's 18 weeks, 17. They play 17 games with a bye now, so. You can't afford to be ruining the preparation of the players, or even worst case scenario, injuries.
imagine all the, like we travel with footy teams. We used to travel, and I used to see all our like gear guys get the big. Imagine the NFL, how much gear they'd have to take. They
Yeah.
literally have to have three planes full.
Yeah.
So that's another thing in itself. And one thing I reckon that might work, mate. You know how we do the round 0 for Vegas?
Yeah.
Something like that. So
Yeah.
maybe get a couple of games where it's like.
So the week before the actual NFL season, I don't hate that.
Yeah, just I think that
Down here
worked
in
well.
Australia?
Down here in Australia.
What are who are your 2 teams? Are we getting our rivalry going?
Well, let's keep it rolling. Let's keep Philly and Green Bay rolling.
Yeah.
But then, I think Australia, we have affiliations with the Rams.
We do, yes.
So and
They accommodated the Broncos
That's
and
it.
also the Sydney Roosters when they went over to Vegas.
yeah, so mate, it'd be awesome. I think it's great, and it's great for the game. And as players, it might be. Some players might not like it. I think a few of the Eagles boys are a bit off going to Brazil and whatnot. But at the same time, it's only once.
Yeah.
Once a year. You might only do it once in your career, because they might change it around like they do in Vegas with
Yep.
the new teams and whatnot. So I think it's great for the game.
I think the NFL players would look forward more to coming down to Sydney than they were to Brazil.
Absolutely.
With a few of the dangers that surrounded it. It's time to get to the players, mate. Let's get to studs and duds. And this one, we've got SD1. This one's on Instagram from Adamo DN. Me trying to not overreact about my seemingly horrendous fantasy team. So I'm in 3 leagues. I won 2 of them. My most frustrating, and I wouldn't call him a dud because that's going a little bit hard, but I'm really frustrated with my Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase combination. And saying that, they perennially start slow, those 2, but they are a frustrating dynasty keep for me. Who are your who did you have a frustrating player from your team?
So remember first ep we done, I said I didn't. I got the late call up,
Yep.
a late one from at Bulldogs. So I ended up getting him. I was okay. I was pretty happy with my team, but Amare Cooper
Yeah.
killed me. But it wasn't him.
Yeah.
It was Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, what a fall from grace for Deshaun at the moment.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, he just hasn't found his rhythm, has he?
Oh, but and the thing is as well, it's not just him, but he got sacked 6 times.
Yeah.
Offensive line, get it going. They got great defense, but they haven't got that good a defense to make up for that. So, Cooper, I had
Let's finish on a positive though for the studs and duds. Let's give me someone that stepped up for you. Who went well for you?
let me have a think. Who was someone that? Well, I had Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
He was my best.
Yep.
And
He had a big game.
He had a big game. How about you? Who was your best?
My stud was Jaden Reed. I've got the combination of Jaden Reed and Jordan Love in all 3 of my leagues as well.
Yep.
I heavily invested. They hadn't really broken out as a wide receiver 1 in Green Bay, but he was my predicted wide receiver, so I really doubled up on him, and I got him really cheap too. You got him mid rounds. I think I got him about the 6th round, so really good value for putting up a couple of touchdowns. And with regards to the dynasty leagues, I traded him in both leagues for Jamison Williams for the Detroit Lions. He went off as well.
He went off.
So that's looking like a good trade both ways for both parties.
I may or may not have tried to trade for Jordan Mason about 20 minutes ago after his efforts today.
Straight
for
after the
San
game?
Fran. It's come out that McCaffrey might be out for a little bit.
Yep.
And mate, what a game.
Jordan Mason's letting it out a little bit early that maybe he's given information about how.
Did you see that?
How long is he out?
Yeah. So he you meant to tell the NFL by Friday if you're
Officially out.
officially out.
Officially
But they
out.
had him questionable.
Yep.
Mason's got on ESPN and gone. They said, "When did you find out, mate?" He goes, "I found out on Friday." And everyone's like, "What?" But no, mate, he had a big game, 147 yards, 1 touchdown. So
Despite all that, I think he's going to be in a little bit of trouble internally, and the San Francisco 49ers, they might get a little slap on the wrist for that as well.
I want
Because
a little slap. They might get a little couple of grand fine.
they'll be able to pay it for sure, but
Bit of chump change,
maybe he doesn't get as many snaps next week, Jordan Mason.
You only
So
get half his snaps.
you might have saved not being able to get him. All right, it's time to roll into our pick 6 for this week, presented by TabMate. And we've got a special guest, Cynthia Frelund. We've got a little video up here.
Hey, Grub and Horo. I'm Cynthia Frelund. It is great to meet you. And I have a pick 6 for you. The first team are the Lions. Then we have the Ravens and Chiefs. The Chiefs, my Super Bowl participants. And then the Chargers. Now, the Chargers play the Carolina Panthers. You're going to want to look for teams that play the Panthers every week. Then we have the Eagles. And finally, the Texans. The Texans, who have CJ Stroud, the man I project to have the most passing yards in the NFL this season.
I like that from Cynthia. I like the pronunciation of
Haro.
Haro. I love the American accent. It's so good. Thank you, Cynthia, for those tips. So let's break them down, Grub.
Yep.
Let's go through them. All right. So me and you are in a last man. Well, I'm hosting a last man standing competition. And unfortunately, you picked the New York Giants to beat the Minnesota Vikings. You could have done with some advice from Cynthia, by the way.
Yeah, well, we only met today.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first time we've
She's
met.
a week too late.
Yeah, a bit late since, but yeah, it was poor. You sort of put it on me like you said, mate. You want to come in this?
Don't put it on me, mate. You're the one. We all had a week.
Yeah, but I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
The Giants. Why would I go the Giants? In my division, I hate the Giants
Yeah.
too. Anyway.
That's a big no-no as well. All right, so she gave a really good tip, and this is something I'll be following in the last man stand-in. LA Chargers, I like that bet. Carolina, they look like they are in the running to get the number 1 pick again this year, and this time it will be their pick because they traded it away to Chicago last year, which in turn got them Caleb Williams. So LA Chargers, we like that tick?
I'm ticking that, man. The Panthers looked really bad.
Rough.
But the thing is with the Chargers
Bryce
too.
Young, what's thoughts on Bryce Young? Is it too early? Have we seen enough in a year and one game yet? He looks small. He looks small.
He's small. But even the Chargers, like Justin Herbert wasn't great. But their defense shone more for them. So
yep.
they'll win that game.
Harbaugh's going to go more run game too. That's his DNA.
Absolutely. So yeah, I like the Chargers in that one.
Baltimore, we liked what Lamar Jackson did even though they lost. It was against the Super Bowl champions, the Chiefs. Las Vegas, $1.22. I'm not crazy about that value because Vegas, they can be a bit of a tricky team, but I do like it. I like Baltimore to get the job done against Vegas, but I just would like a little bit more value considering they're playing at Vegas.
A little bit more, yeah. No, I like that. I think I could obviously watch Baltimore very closely. I had Lamar, and I'm a big fan of Big Derrick Henry. So
apologies, it is at Baltimore. So yeah, Baltimore.
Easy money, Hoss. This should be $1.05. But we'll take the $1.22.
All right, Cynthia's on the home team again. We've got Detroit, who looked very impressive versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Really good game, Detroit versus the Rams. I really enjoyed that one. And the reason I don't like this game, not just because they're an NFC North rival, Baker and those Bucks with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rashad White at the back. They're a sneaky good team, the Bucks, and they're just not getting the credit. They're one of those teams that they're a forgotten about team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Since Tom Brady's left, no one's really given them a chance, but they've got a winnable division because they play the Panthers, the Saints, and the Falcons.
Very winnable.
I'm actually leaning towards the Bucks as a roughie in that one, or I'd like the points.
No, I'm going Lions.
Okay.
I like their. I love the Lions' composure. It ended up draw. Went down the field and scored a touchdown. Just really composed. Goff was awesome. But yeah, you're right with Tampa. I think Liam Cohen, their new defensive coordinator, I feel they were so hard to stop. You're right, Baker Mayfield, they had so many levels. Like every level of the field, they were hitting short, they were going long. You're right, they are a bit of a smoky. There's going to be a cracker game, but I'm going Lions.
Yeah,
so
a bit doozy. The most underappreciated wide receiver in all of the NFL, Mike Evans. He just gets 1,000 yards every year.
Unreal.
And he starts the season with 2 touchdowns. Kansas City, that's an obvious one, or it should be, but they're playing the Cincinnati Bengals. Rough start for them. They lose to the Patriots. Kansas City, I like it purely for the fact that the frustrations that I have with the Burrow Chase situation at the moment, they need to get the Chase deal done.
Yep.
You look at some of the other deals that got done. Ayuk, he got his done last week. He played really well, Brendan Ayuk.
Yep.
Dax got his done just before the game. He played really well. CD, in, reasonable games, but they need to get it done in Cincinnati. And I think Kansas City will get it done against the Bengals.
Yeah, they were terrible. Missed tackles, turnovers. Talking about Cincinnati, the one good thing I like about Cincinnati is Burrow hit all 8 of his receivers, and that's good to have that versatility. But you're right, Chase is the guy. Get him signed. But what about Xavier Worthy?
Xavier Worthy was very impressive. Yeah,
just that extra bit of speed that Mahomes has been looking for, and I think he's gonna. We spoke about the 3-peat last week. He adds to their expertise. He looked fast. Rashee
Rice, he's their go-to now, I believe. Xavier Worthy's their big plays, and when they need it, they've still got Travis Kelce. Really good chance of three-peating because their offense has got better this year. Houston Texans, they looked really good. The Colts were just as good. Yep. That was another really entertaining game. Houston versus Chicago. Caleb Williams, they get the win. A little bit shaky. Houston, on the other hand, CJ Stroud, he gets a new weapon in Stephon Diggs. Nico Collins is back. Tank Dell's back. They got some weapons, and then they got a running game now with Joe Mixon.
What about Nixon? 30 carries. Unbelievable. And the thing is, Diggs, 2 touchdowns, but only 33 yards. He actually didn't have too many big plays, but he catches them when he needs to. And Caleb Williams didn't really feature, but they won ugly. You'll take ugly wins. That's what Chicago, I think, are banking on, and he'll get better. He's a confident guy. He'll take confidence out of any sort of win. But, yeah, the Texans, for me, watching over the weekend, they're top 3 at the moment out of every team.
At the when one of my favourite quotes out of the NBA draft was Caleb Williams rang the Aussie Tory Taylor and told him he's not going to be punting much this year. Get used to it. I think he had like 4 punts in the first half.
You love him, eh? You love Williams, don't you?
I'm all in on Williams, despite him being a Bears, because I've got him in a couple of fantasy teams as well. So that's the pick 6 for this week. Ash Herb, Bears to upset the Texans. Samuelagi, Cowboys to beat the New Orleans Saints despite their good start.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
That's it for week 2. Looks like, Grub. Plenty to talk about with plenty of really good football played over week 1, and I can't wait for week 2, mate.
Week 2 is coming on. Who you got? You got?
I haven't had a look at it. It's the Colts, is it?
That's
Colts.
a tough game, man.
Colts will be tough.
Oh, I would too, baby.
We struggle in the run game too. So Anthony Richardson, predominantly against running quarterbacks, we struggle. Who the Eagles got?
Falcons. Falcons were poor. Terrible.
I'm expecting to bounce back for the Falcons. That'll be a tough game. That'll be tougher than you expect.
Yeah, but they ain't winning in Philly, man. That's our first home game.
Gotta watch out for Captain Kirk.
Keep that jersey on,
just want a reminder for everyone who was a part of the show. Thank you for everyone who joined the show. Remember, you can find us on ESPN at ESPN AUNZ. You can get us on TikTok at ESPN_Australia_NZ. And you can find us on YouTube, ESPN Oz NZ. That's week 2, Grub. Nice and easy, rolling through it. I'm ready to go, mate.
Done and dusted, mate. How good.
Let's go.
Let's go.